G'day, this is Gary007 and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about the undead in World of Warcraft and what they represent, what the lure is behind it all. Yeah, if you're interested in this sort of video, leave a like, leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel. That'd be awesome. So without further ado, let's talk about the undead in World of Warcraft. So let's have a brief history behind the undead and how they came about. Basically, the undead were under the control of a guy called the Lich King. So this dude, the Lich King, was under orders by a demon lord to go out and prepare the way for the demon invasion into Azeroth. So the Lich King was under bidding of the demon lord. However, the Lich King decided, you know what, I don't like that deal. So he wanted to change the terms of the contract. So basically, the Lich King was experimenting with the undead. He managed to raise an army and control the undead. Now, the undead that he had control over were in a mindless state, so they had no conscious thought about what they were doing. So the undead are put together through a pneumatic magic, which is basically black magic, if you want to call it that, warlocks would use. So it's black magic that the Lich King used to control the undead, and through various forms of control, he was able to amass a huge amount of army. Basically, he would put a plague in town and kill everybody off. In 3 days' time, undead would start raising up and he had control over them. So when the Lich King had control over the undead, he could feel the souls of those people. So he got a bit of a hard-on over it and he really enjoyed it, right? So he had control issues, right? He was quite addicted to this whole process. The whole point of the undead was supposed to be cannon fodder to prepare the way for the demon legion. The undead was supposed to be put together army, go forth, conquer the land, and pave the way. That all fell apart because the demon lord, Gjorgjievski, got a little upset with the Lich King because he smelt something fishy. He felt like he was going to betray him. So he sent another dude in called Illidan. Now Illidan changed allegiances like a pair of undies. So he told Illidan, look mate, go in there, get rid of this dude that I've put over there, over in Northrend, deal with it. So basically Illidan goes over to Northrend, he puts the hurt down, he puts the smack down on the Lich King, right, hurts him, and the Lich King loses control over the undead. So the undead are now walking around in this, they now get their consciousness back, so they get their free will back, and they are able to understand what's going on. You got all these corpses walking around with a free will. At the same time this happens, Sylvanas is obviously freed from the Lich King because she has a very free mind. She has a very strong will. So she is freed from the Lich King also, as well as all these other Dreadlords and all the rest of it, so on and so forth. Anyway, she ends up bringing all the Forsaken under her umbrella. They all rally under her umbrella. And basically the Forsaken hang out in Undercity, you know, listening to Fleetwood Mac and also the greatest hits of the 80s and 90s. Now, that's not where the story ends for them, but this is where we're going to end it for the Forsaken. Now, when it comes to the biology of the Forsaken, so basically the undead are kept together by black magic, and that's what preserves them. It's like preserving them in a jar of pickles, right? They will be preserved forever and a day in that state. They won't age or anything like that. If they're in battle, right, as an undead, so they're technically immortal in that sense that they don't age. So when they go into battle, right, and they go into a war and they lose a limb, so if they lose a leg or lose an arm, you know, they can just go around and search the battlefield for another body part. They also have the odd munchies and they go and munch on somebody else if they get a bit hungry. They're able to repair themselves in battle. The other thing about the undead, which is quite unusual, is that some of them have the ability to wield the light. Now the light is another magical force in World of Warcraft. So the light is often used by the Draenei or the Paladin races, and it's basically willpower. So it's very rare for the Forsaken to use light in the game because it causes tremendous pain and hurt to them. So every time they will the light, they're able to feel the state in which they're in. So they're able to feel maggots, they're able to feel pain, they realize that they can smell themselves. Remember being undead and you got a dulled sense, and all of a sudden those senses become alive. You can smell yourself, right? You might have really bad BO or stinky skin, you know, as the undead. So that's what happens when you wield the light, and it also tremendously generates great pain within someone that's undead when they use the light, and also when they use it on somebody else. So if somebody's receiving a healing benefit from the light as an undead, it's like cauterizing the wound. You're healing them, but it's extremely painful. So it's very rare for the Forsaken to use the light. They must have very strong willpower. They must have stronger willpower than a paladin. So the undead, they don't have to eat, and they don't have to breathe air, basically. So, but you can, right? So if you're undead, you know, you can still rock up to KFC and order a 24-piece chicken bucket and then feed into it, and you'll be right. But you don't have to eat. It's not optional. It won't keep you alive. But you might do it for, I don't know, sensations, I guess, that those 24 spices, I don't know. The biggest thing about the undead is basically they've got bad memories when they're under control of the Lich King. So when the Lich King had control over the undead, he went and got them to do terrible things, right? So just imagine yourself, you're under control of the Lich King, under somebody else, and you had no control over your bodily functions. And basically you went down to Coles, you went into the shopping centre, and you started terrorising people. And then you saw your best mate, Johnny, right? And you're like, I'm going to eat you, and you start going over and you're like, oh, no, I don't want to hurt you, and then you like start munching on Jono's leg, and you kill him, and you're like, rah, and he's like, yeah, and he's dead. Basically, he's dead now, and you've got to live with that. You've got to live with munching on Jono. You know, you ate Johnny. So you got a lot of trauma. Now there's some people that have like might have had a bad night out, been on the grog, and can't remember anything, and they're like, oh, what happened? Mate, you killed like 60 people in that village back there, and they torched those people, and now these children are all undead too, because you went in there and you sort of started eating them like chicken nuggets, you know, so there's some people that just don't remember it and they're not traumatized, and then there's a lot of people that are really traumatized. So that's basically the undead in a nutshell. If you like this sort of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below. And yeah, alright, I'll see you at Azeroth. Bye.